You're welcome back to Business Sense. Before the break, we were delving into the stringent measures and policies about importation. So can you now tell us how that has stirred your creative imagination as to doing business?
Yeah. There's a good side to having the borders closed, and then there's a bad side to it as well. I found that, okay, if I have to buy, I can't find Famous Amos to buy in the market anymore. So I might as well start making cookies, you know. So on that, I'm thinking, okay, why don't I go into full production of cookies? But then on the other hand, we use unsalted butter. It's not made here. They import it. Now, a carton that I used to buy for 18,500 has gone up to 34,000. So how do I deal with that? And you can't just put up a factory that makes this unsalted butter. It has to be under strict hygienic conditions. We don't even have the power supply to deal with that. So we really have to balance things a bit here. There's the good side and then the downside as well.
So if you think there's any one thing the government needs to do to help you cater for all of this, what would it be if you were faced with the president like right now and you're looking him in the face and you need to tell him something about all your challenges you face as a business? What is that one thing you need to tell him?
I guess for me, the most pressing thing would be we need power.
Electricity.
Yes, we need electricity. We need that desperately because it's beyond giving people loans.
You give them the loans, then they go buy generators.
Yes.
And buy fuel.
Yes.
And you expect them to pay back.
Exactly. You know, so if the overhead cost is high, how do you survive in a business? You know, you hear about certain countries where at least they give tax breaks to certain people, but then here you're paying VAT, you're paying multiple taxes, and at the end of the day.
And you just made me think of something. Between when the information to create the knowledge about like what you can import and what you can't, let's say you are in the pastry business now.
Yeah.
Do you think there was ample time for you to adjust? Like, were there warnings like your Famous Amos?
The Famous Amos is even an accidental thing because I have children, they go to school. I buy cookies for them to put in their lunch pack. And so if I can't buy cookies anymore, I'm then thinking about producing cookies.
Yes.
But, okay, I bake with margarine, I bake with butter. You know, if you wake up in the morning and you can't import butter anymore, so where does that leave me? In the market, it was 4,500. Yes. It went to 6,000. It went to, now we're buying a bucket of butter at 10,000 naira.
Wow.
You know, and I can't just wake up in the morning and tell my clients that, oh, the cake you bought yesterday for 5,000 is now 10,000. So the margins are shrinking. You're wondering, do I have to lay off staff? Am I going to be in business next year if things keep going the way they are? Because if I'm buying a bag of sugar now at 18,000 naira, I'm wondering, how do I break even?
You see, I have a research ongoing, but just this interview and this discussion with you is sort of redirecting it. Because if we all talk about finance, let's say there's access to a particular kind of loan for a certain amount for you at the moment, and you come up with a proposal which is approved and all beautiful, all well done, and you get the money.
The projections, they can't match. Exactly. Whatever projections you make today are not going to be possible in the next 1 month.
And government projects are subject to re-evaluation. Let's say a project of 5 years, maybe road construction or a dam. After 5 years, you hear in the budget that there's been a re-evaluation because of inflation and all of that. Yeah. But when you get a loan from a bank for your business, a loan, say 2-3 years, and things don't go in your favor due to no fault of yours, there's no re-evaluation of that loan.
No, that's not.
And there ought to be. So that's something we need to talk about. But after all of this, you've talked about some peculiar challenges to you in doing business. But if I see and I hear you employ at least 15 people, how do you deal with the manpower turnover? Because not all of them are like formally trained for this job. So some come in and get some form of training from you.
Yes.
How do you now deal with when they leave, even before they become, before you reap some of the effort you've put in there?
I've been really lucky with my staff. We have a culture within my company. We are more like family than staff, you know, and so it has helped a lot. Yeah. If you run a business, if you build a good culture, have good value systems, you might be able to retain staff. I have some staff that have been with me for 9 years, 8 years, 6 years.
Really?
Yes. My staff turnover is not so high. So on that, I've been lucky.
Really? So what kind of training do you give your staff?
I don't try to hoard knowledge from my staff. It's easier for me to delegate. That way, when you come into my establishment, I find that when you trust people, they
It's reciprocal.
Yes. So if somebody comes into my business and realizes that by the time I leave here empowered, they are more willing to stay than for me to be so busy trying to hoard my recipes. I don't want them to know too much, trying to keep them reliant on me. That doesn't work very well.
So, besides now helping to train those who come in, must I come in as a staff to get some form of training from you?
No.
What structured package do you have?
We do trainings where you can just call, book, and we'll teach you how to bake. Then we still run an apprenticeship program as well, where you can call. You come and work with us for 3 months, and then you leave. So it's flexible.
Okay, that's a nice one to hear. And as we round up this discussion, I don't know if you want to really put some words of encouragement out there for any young entrepreneur, especially those who are towing the line of business you've been in for this long. Any way you want to encourage them to say it's not a bad idea, they can come in?
For me, I'd always like to say, follow your passion. If you are true to yourself, you always make something from it. Because even when I started baking, people will ask me, are you sure this is not a regular business? This is not something you should do for a living. You should get a more serious job. But I'm where I am today, you know, because I kept to.
You've been consistent.
Yes, I've been consistent and focused in what I do. So that's something you really need to do.
Thank you once again, Mrs. Kwaghdoo Enyi. I struggled to get that right, but I hope I do justice to it.
Yeah.
It's been a revealing discussion, interview, you may say, with Mrs. Enyi Kwaghdoo, the creative director, Case Pastries. And what more can we say or add to it? The government needs to do a whole lot more in order to encourage entrepreneurs to carry on with their business effectively and profitably. The issue of power in the country, our electricity status need to improve, and we need to carry on and bring information to those who really do need it, and she almost said, caution, caution, caution to the openness we seem to be having as to the flow of funds made available by different institutions. Everybody needs to do a proper business plan and proper evaluation before you open your arms and your doors and welcome any form of loan. Since it's difficult to find loans get loans from institutions for single-digit interest rates, then you need to get your books and your papers proper for you to be sure that at the end of the day, you not either bite your fingers off or regret the day you stepped or filled those forms to acquire those loans. As we move on, don't forget, as I told you, to call us on 0023104-708. Let's talk. Let's get involved with one another and see how we can move our business environment forward. It's still business sense, and until we see you next week, it's goodbye and God bless.